Welcome to the Health by Haven podcast. I'm your host, Haven Quinlan. If you're a multi-passionate wellness enthusiast, then you're in the right place. I'm obsessed with learning as much as I can about the wellness world, and I want to share that with you. Each episode will dive into various aspects of health and wellness through inspiring and informative guest interviews with some solo episodes thrown in. Tune in for all things health, and let's have some fun, shall we? It's been 1 year to the date that I quit my corporate job. So let's get into it, shall we? I got the ping to talk to you guys about my journey of quitting my corporate full-time steady income job to run Health by Haven full-time. And I've shared little bits and pieces of this story over the year, but I realized I never really sat down and walked you guys through what that decision looked like for me. So for anyone who's feeling stuck in your career, feeling overwhelmed or overworked or burnt out, feeling like you don't have time to pursue your creative passions, this episode is for you. And I don't have all the answers. My life is not perfect. I'm not anyone special, but I think it can be really helpful to hear from other people who have been through situations like this, because oftentimes I think we can make ourselves feel like we're the only one feeling dissatisfaction in our jobs or in our lives, or feeling like we're called to do more, but maybe not knowing exactly what that is, or not knowing what the next best step is, or feeling like I know I really want to do this thing and pursue my passion, but I'm feeling really trapped or really stuck in my current situation due to finances or life circumstances or things like that. So we're going to really get into it today. I'm going to share a lot. I'm going to get really vulnerable. I hope that I don't regret sharing all of this with you guys later, but you know, it's never been in me to keep things to myself. I'm a textbook oversharer. So I hope that with my ramblings today, I can help you feel less alone if you're experiencing any of these feelings, and to show that paths aren't linear and every day is not perfect, but you can make the next best step for you to get a little bit closer to your dream life. So I've got my matcha latte in hand. Waffles is by my side. She is not settling down because she's newly decided she's afraid of the washing machine, and that's running right now. So if you guys hear her in the background, Waffles is my golden retriever. I wish you could see her because she's adorable. Yeah, aren't you? Yeah, you're so cute. So let's get into it. It's been 1 year to the date, as I'm recording this on January 21st, 2026, that I quit my corporate job. And I actually didn't realize that today was my 1 year anniversary until I went to do my morning journaling this morning after my run. And I went to my 1 line a day journal, which I've talked about before. I love this journal, especially if you're not super into journaling, because you don't have to write pages and pages and pages. It's really only space for like 1 or 2 sentences to jot down about what you did in your day or how you're feeling in your day. But it lasts for 5 years. So there's 5-year slots on each day. So for instance, today I could see back to what I was doing on January 21st, 2024 and 2025. And that is when I saw last year, January 21st, 2025, that it was my last day in my previous corporate job. And it got cut short, actually, because there was a snow day, which in South Carolina, that essentially equals the world is ending because there's never snow there. So I don't know, maybe that was like a sign from the universe as well, that there was a force of nature happening that day on my last day. But it reminded me, oh my gosh, yeah, it's been a full calendar year since I left that steady safety net of a job. And I felt called to talk about it. I had been in that role, that industry for 6 years, and it was really, really fun at first. It felt so aligned to me at the beginning. I moved up really quickly in that office due to some amazing supervisors and due to a lot of work that I put in. But I had 4 roles within 6 years. I got to supervise tons of different interns as well as full-time staff, graduate assistants. And there were a lot of aspects of that job, those jobs within that industry that I really loved for a long time. And it was really fun until it wasn't. And I can't think of a specific thing that really made me start to feel misaligned, but it was kind of a gradual thing over time where I started to realize, like, or think about, is this really it? Like, is this going to be my whole life? You know, we spend so much of our lives working in the US at least. We have very little free time outside of our jobs that we're not doing other responsibilities like chores or sleeping or taking care of loved ones. So I really started to think like, well, is this really it for me? Like, do I want my boss's job? Do I want my CEO's job? And I was realizing the answer was no. And that was really scary to me. As a goal-oriented person, I had been used to charging forward at an aggressive pace towards my goals. When I set my mind to something, nothing's going to stop me. And I kind of had a path laid out for me my whole life. You know, when you're growing up in school, it's the next grade. When you're in high school, it's looking towards college. When you're in college, it's looking towards grad school. When you're in grad school, it's looking towards your first job. And I realized I had always kind of had that carrot dangling in front of me to keep me motivated to the next thing. And all of a sudden, I realized the carrot had gone rotten for me. Like it wasn't enticing me anymore. And I felt really lost for the first time because I wasn't feeling driven to that next goal. I felt like I was coming up to a lot of roadblocks and I stopped enjoying my work. I stopped feeling that fire underneath me of achieving the next thing. And I really had to start thinking about what is it that I want out of life? If it's not this, like I'm on the wrong ladder, which ladder do I want to climb next? And this was a gradual thing over probably about a year of thinking like, oh, like I don't think this is feeling aligned anymore, but I don't know what is. And there were a lot of things that kind of led me to feeling misaligned and feeling a bit stuck. And simultaneously, while this was happening, my husband, Billy, was in law school. So I was our primary breadwinner. So I did really feel stuck. I mean, I looked at some other jobs. I interviewed for some other jobs. Nothing really felt super aligned to me. But I couldn't just take the leap into the deep end and quit that job knowing that I was our main financial stability while he was in school. And so it started getting to me. I was feeling a bit resentful, not towards him, but just towards feeling like, oh, this is like not how I want to be spending my time every day because I don't truly feel aligned. I don't truly feel like I'm living my purpose or that I'm making a difference in this world, even in my small sphere of people that I'm touching and interacting. And so I started experiencing some pretty intense health issues during this time. Now, if you've been around a while, you know I'm an IBS girly, unfortunately. I've struggled for years with gut issues and have been diagnosed with IBS as well as functional dyspepsia, which is essentially IBS for your stomach instead of for your bowels. And honestly, both of those diagnoses are extremely frustrating because they essentially say, we don't know what's wrong. All your labs came back normal. All your testing came back normal. You should be fine, but you're not. So we're saying that you have this unknown reason that your digestive system or that your stomach is off track. But I realized since leaving that job, a lot of those issues were from anxiety and chronic stress. And when doctors used to tell me that, it used to make me so incredibly angry because I would say, like, no, there is something wrong. Like, this isn't normal. I don't feel well. I haven't always felt this way. Like, I know my body. Like, something is up. Why can't you find anything? And I was looking for that external source of validation of some sort of something wrong on a lab or some sort of diagnosis where I could point to and be like, oh, okay, like this is why I haven't been feeling well. And I would get so angry when they would tell me like, oh, you're just stressed out. Like you need to calm down. You need to chill out. And as a tightly wound, high strung achiever, type A, Enneagram 3, like that's essentially telling me not to breathe. And I know that's something I need to work on and I have been working on it, but just saying, oh, you need to calm down, by the way, is not great advice for anyone to hear, especially when they're in a high stress, high anxiety lifestyle and job. And so I was feeling that a lot. My IBS was getting incredibly unbearable. It was affecting my daily life. It was affecting where I could go and who I could see and how I felt every single day. And just like I felt like my vitality and my life force was getting sucked from me. And don't get me wrong, like this is not all my job's fault. Like this was me also not prioritizing stress management techniques, but this was getting exasperated by feeling misaligned in what I was doing and spending my time on every single day versus what I felt like my purpose was. So if you are having similar symptoms, and maybe it's not presenting in the form of IBS, maybe it's presenting in the form of chronic fatigue, chronic pain somewhere, things like that, take a look at your lifestyle, because I hate to be the person to say it because this used to bother me so much, but it might be stress induced. It might be anxiety induced. It might be because you aren't doing what you know innately in your heart that you're truly meant to do. So sometimes it's really, really hard to be honest with yourself and strip all that down and take a good hard look. But if you have the courage to do that and to realize what's truly going on at the root cause and to take those scary steps to make a change, I'm telling you, on the other side, it can be life-changing for so many ways, physically and mentally. I digress. When I started realizing maybe this isn't what I'm meant to be doing, I had a bit of a mourning period. I had worked so hard to get to where I was in my career. I had earned a master's degree, which, by the way, I had to take out student loans for. And I had worked my booty off to climb that corporate ladder in 4 different roles. And I had a lot of responsibilities and a lot of things that were lighting me up, or so I thought, but it was really my ego talking, right? It was really fun to talk to people and be like, yeah, this is my big fancy job and my big fancy title, and I'm in charge of all of these things. And people would be like, wow, like your job is so cool. Like that's so fun. And yes, there were like really cool and fun things within that role that I got to do over the years. I mean, I got to travel internationally. I got to host tailgates for university. Like there were a lot of really fun things, don't get me wrong, but I was almost gaslighting myself like every day that I would into the day in tears, like feeling so frustrated, so misaligned, so lost, that I would be like, yeah, but like this is such a good job. This is such a fun job. Like people would die for this job. Like I should just be grateful that I have a job and like that this is like a thing that I get to do every day. But that was ego talking, and that was other people's opinions of what they thought my day-to-day was talking, and it's not how I truly felt inside. And so that was really scary to realize and to stop gaslighting myself into thinking like everything was fine. I should be fine. I shouldn't be upset, because I wasn't. And I knew in my heart of hearts that like that just wasn't the thing that was lighting me up and that was meant to be where I was spending my life force energy. Let's take a gentle pause for a moment. If life feels busy, heavy, or like your body is holding on to more than it should, this is your reminder that support can be simple and deeply comforting. Avoda Massage Therapy, with locations in Columbia and Lexington, South Carolina, offers therapeutic massage that's about more than just working out tight muscles. It's about creating space for your body to soften, your breath to slow, and your nervous system to feel safe enough to rest. Therapeutic massage can help ease everyday aches, reduce stress, improve circulation, and support better sleep. But just as importantly, it gives you a quiet place to reconnect with yourself. Avoda's care is thoughtful, unhurried, and tailored to what your body needs in that moment. Whether you're carrying stress in your shoulders, tension in your jaw, or simply feeling worn down, Avoda Massage Therapy offers a calm, welcoming space to feel supported and cared for. You can learn more or book a session with Avoda Massage Therapy in Columbia or Lexington, South Carolina, and give yourself permission to rest. So, I had to take a really scary trust fall with the universe, a massive leap of faith to decide to leave my job to make room for something better. And this is a concept that was coming up a lot for me around then. It's been coming up for me a lot in the last month or so as we've gotten into the new year and I've been looking towards my goals for 2026 is the concept of clearing space to make room for something better, to make room for something aligned, to make room to level up to the next version of myself. And actually, my acupuncturist in Knoxville last summer kind of talked to me about this a little bit. You know, she said, you've been holding on so tight and all that stress and all the anxiety, you're like wound up so tight. Your fists are clenching around these things. Like you can give yourself the permission to let go. Let go of the things that aren't serving you, because that's the only way there's going to be space for something that's a better fit to come in. And I'm a firm believer in signs from God and the universe. I don't know if you guys think that's like super woo-woo or if you can relate at all. But I think that once you hear a concept like that resonates, you start hearing it over and over in different ways and from different people and in different mediums. It's almost like when you decide like, oh, I really want to get this car. I want to get a silver Honda Civic. That was my first car, a little two-door one. Then you start seeing them everywhere, right? Or, oh, I'm really looking for this like specific jacket. I want it to be leather. I want some fringe to be on the bottom. And I've never really like seen this jacket, but I can like picture it in my mind's eye. And then all of a sudden you start seeing versions of it all over the city, right? It's like kind of like that concept. But for me, instead of a physical item, it's been this concept of clearing space to make room for something better. And actually this morning on my run, I listened to the end of one podcast and the beginning of another. And crazily enough, both of these podcasts touched on this subject in different ways. So the first one I listened to was the Move with Heart podcast by Melissa Wood Health. I would recommend that one to you guys. I love her workouts as well, but she talked on the podcast today about physically clearing space, and she has a lot of great advice on for her most recent episode. I would go back. It's like a 20-minute solo episode, but she talks a lot about like physically clearing space. So maybe you're going through your closet, like a spring cleaning. You're clearing space off of your calendar of things that feel misaligned, things like that. And then the second podcast I listened to was the Expanded podcast by To Be Magnetic. And that is another one I would highly recommend if you guys are interested at all in the concept of manifestation, but not just the woo-woo of manifestation, but the psychology and the neuroscience behind it. I think it's extremely fascinating and an extremely good tool if you want to level up in your life. But I was listening to one of their episodes today, and they were talking about the same thing. Like, you have to unblock this space to be able to call in truly what you want. And I've been walking through step by step their book as well, called How to Manifest by their founder, Lacey Phillips. And again, I wish I was getting paid by these people to tell you this. I'm not. So, it's true recommendations that I would highly recommend getting this book and going through it and not reading it cover to cover like quickly, but like slowly walking through it and journaling and doing all of the prompts throughout. It has been an absolute game changer for me in the last few weeks, because I think we can all think like, oh, just believe it and you can achieve it. Like, just pretend you already have this thing and it will come to you. Just make this vision board and like, then you'll achieve all your dreams. And like, it's not that simple. If you haven't, their method, they talk about finding expanders. So seeing people who have the thing that you want and having your brain understand that that thing is achievable. So if you don't have someone physically in your life that you know personally, this is a beauty of social media or of TV. You can find somebody who has a similar life path to what you're aspiring to and kind of use them as an expander to show like, oh, like I can have this thing. So for me, for instance, Elizabeth Endress, who is the host of the Wellness Process podcast, she is a big expander for me. She came from a very like normal standard middle-class family. Her parents were nurses. Like I came from a similar background as well. Like she's from Michigan. I'm from Tennessee, like no big cities. And now she lives in New York City, and the Wellness Process podcast is her full-time job. And she's called in all of these amazing business collaborations and incredible guests on her podcast, and things are flowing in her life. From the outside, of course, they don't know her, but it looks like she's really put in the work to be able to make space for those things. And so that's just an example for me of like a personal expander that I don't know personally, but from listening to her podcast and following her on social media, I can relate to her upbringing, and she has the career that I am trying to achieve. So that's an example of an expander. So that's kind of the first step in the How to Manifest book in the To Be Magnetic process. Second step is unblocking. So this is the one I'm really talking about here. You have to find the root of your blocks. So what is stopping you from achieving those things that you want? And they talk a lot about it being back to like different childhood beliefs or traumas or things. And it gets very therapy-esque. And this used to be like, to me, like, ew, feelings, emotions, but really like digging in of like why you have these deep-rooted beliefs that you might not even realize are there, but they're subconsciously in your brain that might be blocking you from getting what you want. So this is the part they're talking about in the podcast this morning and in the book that is really going to make the difference, because you're unblocking that negative thought that's not serving you and rewiring it, making that space to fill it with something that is going to serve you. So again, that concept of clearing out space, something that's not serving you anymore, to make room for something that is. And then the last part of their process is taking aligned action. So you can't sit around and expect things to come to you if you're not also putting in the work and taking the steps to achieve that thing. But really for today's conversation, that unblocking part of the process was really resonating with me. Now, I acknowledge that I'm in a very privileged position to be able to talk to you guys on here and say that it's been a year since I quit my steady corporate job. And I know that not everyone is in the financial or circumstantial position to be able to do that. And I will say that it took a lot of planning and a lot of work and a lot of budgeting with my husband to figure out when I could take that leap of faith to leave my job and to pursue my passions. And it wasn't linear either. So I didn't go from January 21st, 2025 of being my last day of my corporate job to January 22nd of 2025, running full-time Health by Haven LLC and making the same amount or more of money. Like it wasn't overnight. I've been building Health by Haven since 2020 as a side business, and I've ebbed and flowed with how much I've put into it and different mediums. The podcast began in June of 2024. And so I will say it's not an overnight thing. It's not linear. You have to plan for it. You have to be in a place financially and circumstantially where you can take that leap, or you can take baby steps along the way, like I did for quite some time. And then even after leaving that corporate job, I took another full-time position for 4 months, working in the industry that I wanted to be in, but still not running my own business full-time. I was still running that on the side for a while. And that gave me a little bit of space to have a little more financial security as well. Then from doing that full time, I went to just teaching a lot of Pure Barre classes, but not being on a full-time salary. So again, I had an outside source of revenue coming in. I was taking those baby steps to get a little bit more time freedom to be able to pursue my business as my full-time job. And then after this summer going to Europe and moving to New York City, that is when I finally established Health by Haven LLC within the state of New York and really, really began like full throttle pursuing Health by Haven full time. And by the way, I still teach a lot of Pure Barre classes because I truly love it. And it's a way for me to get that social interaction as an extrovert when I'm working alone. But it's also like it's our fun money. It's how I can go out to eat and go to shows and the ballet and travel and things like that. And so that's something to keep in mind as well. Like if you decide to take the leap of faith, maybe there's like a little bit of a padding or safety net of turning a side hustle into that little cushion for you. I also want to share that this hasn't always been easy. It's never a linear path. No matter what things look like for people on social media, we often share highlight reels, not the days that we're in tears, not the days that we're frustrated, not the days that we're overwhelmed or confused. And so this has not always been a linear path. And even when you get what you think you wanted and you think, oh, if I just get to XYZ in my career, if I just get this one thing, I'm going to be happy. You can't expect something external to fully fulfill you and make you happy. That comes from within. And that comes from doing a lot of work on yourself to be able to understand what your priorities are and what truly brings you joy in your day. And then making sure you're doing at least one thing every day that brings you joy. So that means even if your full day isn't joyful, there's one little rainbow, little star, little spark in your day that does make you happy. It also comes from leaning in on your intuition, listening to yourself. What feels right for you? Being willing to pivot, not clinching onto something so hard that you think is going to work. If you're beating your head against the wall, change paths. It's okay. There's more than one way to find what you want to do to find and live your dream life. You can change your mind, and so importantly, you have to let go of what you think people think of you, and you have to be happy with yourself, because let's be real, we're all thinking about ourselves way more than we're thinking about anyone else. If you think people are thinking about you, no offense, they're probably not. They're focused on what they're doing. So truly at the end of your day, you can't be doing anything to make anyone else happy if you aren't happy yourself. You have to find that fuel within inside of you. So yeah, it's been a year since I left that job. I still don't have all the answers, even though I'm doing my dream work that is truly lighting me up, particularly this podcast and writing the Health by Haven Substack. I still have bad days where I feel overwhelmed, or I question if I have what it takes to be an entrepreneur, or I question myself or my purpose. But when I feel overwhelmed, I've really been called back to simplify and prioritize. And that has been a constant theme for me so far in 2026. So if you need some ideas, here are some things that I like to do when I start to feel overwhelmed. Delegate at work. I have two amazing interns. They help me with social media. One does my TikTok, one does my Pinterest. I literally never open those up. Short form content is not lighting me up lately. So I've limited that to Instagram for myself, but I've even really pulled back on that lately. So delegate at work if you can. If you have a team, if there's a task that is not lighting you up, that's feeling so draining and overwhelming to you, is there a way to offload that and to shift your focus onto something else? If you don't have this freedom or flexibility at work, what's another area of your life that you could simplify? So, can you clear out your closet? Are there clothes that have been hanging there forever, or just things that you're like, meh, it's fine, but it's not bringing me joy when I'm putting it on? Same with going through your cabinets, going through your kitchen cabinets, going through your desk drawers. I firmly believe that I saw this quote when I was in high school, and it's stuck with me ever since. And I cannot remember who to attribute it to. So, sorry. But it's a quote that says, have nothing in your home that you don't know to be useful or believe to be beautiful. And I feel so strongly about that. Yes, there's some things that aren't pretty, like your toilet bowl scrubber that you have to have because it's useful, but everything else should be filling your aesthetic up. It should be making you feel so happy. I look at my little reading nook that I've been putting together and I smile like a giddy little kid. It's silly, but the aesthetics of my space matter so much to me, and it makes me so happy that I'm building this cozy little nook that I do my morning pages in every morning and I read in, and it feels homey and supportive and so like me. So where are those little corners of your house that you could change up to truly light you up? Notifications on your phone. Turn them off. I'm telling you, this will change your life. First of all, if you still have social media notifications on, honestly, what are you doing? That is crazy. Turn them off. That's so overwhelming. That's so distracting. Our attention is pulled in so many different ways every single day. That is not serving you. Turn those off. I'm not saying that you can never get on social media, but don't have those notifications popping up on your phone. Same with email if you can. I know some people have to have it on for their jobs, but if that's you, maybe turn it off on your personal email at least. People don't need you ASAP unless it is your child and you are worried about their well-being. People can wait a few minutes or an hour or a day for you to get back to them. We do not have to be at everybody's fingertips all the time. So turn those notifications off. I'm telling you, it's going to help your nervous system feel so much more relaxed. And I've been going through deleting apps that I'm not using every day, clearing that space. Once again, I'm unsubscribing from store emails. Hopefully you're not unsubscribing from the Health by Haven Substack, because I really hope it's information that's serving you, not taking away from you. But anything that feels draining, unsubscribe. Unfollow the people or the businesses that make you feel bad. Oh my gosh, literally you are allowing that into your space. No one's making you. And by the way, if you don't want to hurt someone's feelings, just mute them. Then you don't have to see their stuff. So there's so many ways that you can be in control of this, even if you're not in control of your work scenario right now. What are the little things that you can do to protect your peace? Do them. You have the power. And really, truly think about what's one thing in your life that you're doing because you feel guilty. So many women, especially, but really anyone, we do so much out of guilt, out of people pleasing, not wanting to upset someone that we just don't want to do, that we feel obligated, but that we feel misaligned. What's one thing that you secretly hate that you're doing that's taking up your space, that's taking up your mental energy, that's taking up your time, which, by the way, is your only non-renewable resource, and you should be protecting it fiercely? What's one thing that you could take off your plate? I want to give you the permission, if no one else has, if you haven't given it to yourself, to do that. take it off. That's going to make space for something so much more aligned. Silly example for you guys, but I was teaching 2 evening classes at a Pure Barre studio that I had to get on 2 different subways to get to. I was doing this on Monday night, and even though I love teaching, I was dreading these all day long. They were hanging over my head. I am not a night person. I'm a morning person. So just thinking about this, I have this obligation on a Monday evening. It takes me so long to get there, blah, blah, blah. Poor me. I finally was like, I want these off my plate. They're not serving me. They're harming me more than they're serving me. I'm going to trade these away. And I really wanted to be able to replace those with 2 other classes at a better time or better location. And I couldn't find anyone to trade with. And finally I was like, I'm just letting this go. Like something else will find me. I just have to let this go. And I kid you not, 2 days later, someone messaged me saying, hey, would you be able to pick up these 3 classes that are, by the way, at the studio that's around the corner from your house? And I had made that space, and then I could pick those classes up. So that's a silly little example, but what's one thing that you could clear out of your life that is not serving you, that is not feeling aligned, so you can make space for something better? If you don't know where to start small. It doesn't have to be this massive leap off a cliff of quitting your job overnight. You could start by putting pen to paper to think about it. These morning pages have been helping me so much with understanding my priorities. But for years and years and years, journaling was not a thing that was calling to me. So could you go on a walk or a run where you're not filling your head with a podcast or with music or with an audiobook or by calling anyone, and you're literally just walking or running in the fresh air with your thoughts? I know we always feel like we have to be consuming, but it could be a really great way, if you aren't a journaler, to get some clarity. And then take action. Action fights anxiety. So pick one small area in your life to audit, and then your momentum will pick up from there. And I promise you, it's scary, but it is so worth it. I really hope that this episode was helpful for you guys to feel like you're not alone, and to maybe inspire you to take a little bit of action to clear space, to bring in something that feels more aligned and better for you, your purpose, and your life. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Health by Haven podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to give the show a 5-star rating and leave a review. It makes such a huge difference in reaching new people and spreading the joy of healthy living. I would also be so appreciative if you subscribe to the show in the listening app of your choice so you never miss an episode. Your support truly means the world to me. Have a happy, healthy day, and I'll talk to you again soon.